Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live in the city of Memphis, the state of Tennessee, which is in the county of Shell. Today's date is early Monday morning, October the 20th, 2014, and the time is 3:30 a.m. And I'm gonna date today's video with yesterday's date, which would be Sunday, October, which would be Sunday, October the 19th, 2014. I want to first say thank you to all my fans and my supporters. I want to first say thank you to all my fans and my supporters for your continued encouragement and support. And I always keep my fans, supporters informed. I'll continue to keep myself informed. I'm employed at a company called America right here in the city of Memphis, state of Tennessee, in the county of Shell. And it's right there on the corner of Walnut Street and Vance Avenue. And I'm continuing to further my education by pursuing an associate's degree in business administration with a concentration market. And I wasn't intending on being this late today, but yesterday, Sunday, with the church and with the family gathering, and that kind of made me late. But we're gonna get right into we'll continue our talk and our discussion. African traditional religion, West African traditional religion, and also, like I always tell always keep my fans and my supporters informed. I've already made arrangements to record. And after I record, I'll be making a video, but I've already made arrangements to record my music. So I've done that. So let's get into this. Let's get into African traditional religion, West African traditional religion. We have to always acknowledge the people. We have to always recognize the people in African traditional religion and West African traditional religion. In language classification, Afro-Asiatic language classification, the Berber, the Chadic, the Cushitic, the Egyptian, the Omotic, and the Semitic. And the Berber in language classification is Berber, Tushilkit, Kabyle, Atlas, Tamizite, Riffian, Shawi, and Tuareg. Those were the Berber language classification. Then you have your Omotic language classification in the Afro-Asiatic. And it'd be the north and the south Omotic. Mao, Mbasi, West Mao, Ozo, Sisi, Ganze, Dazoa, Dazi, Shiko, Neya, Gange, Gamojan, Gange, Kiford, Boro, and Philo, Kape, Chikacho, Gamojan, Yemse, Omite, Gamire, Bench, and Chore. And those are Omotic language classification. Then you have your Chadic language classification, Afro-Asiatic. The West Chadic, be the Hase, Ron, Boli, and Angus. And the B is the Badi, Waja, Raja, and Zohar in the West Channel. The Central Channel, the BU, Adare, the A, the Bure, the Kamwi, and the Bete. And the B is the Budume and the Musku. And the C is Gadar. And the East Channel is the Tune, and then Siri, and Kire. And the B is the Dangaliad, and Kulu, and Socorro, and Mese. And that's the Chadic language classification and Afro-Asiatic language classification. Then you have your Cushitic language classification in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. And your Bayo, which is your North Cushitic, your Central Cushitic, your Highland East Cushitic, your Lowland East Cushitic, your Dale, and your South Cushitic. Those were your Cushitic language classification in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. And then you have your Egyptian language classification in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. It's Archaic Egyptian, Old Egyptian, Middle Egyptian, Late Egyptian, Demotic Egyptian, and Coptic Egyptian. And all those are your Afro-Egyptian language classification in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. Then you have your Semitic language classification in the Afro-Asiatic language classification in Arabic. It's a Semitic language in the Afro-Asiatic. You have classical Arabic, modern standard Arabic, and colloquial or dialectical Arabic. And that's Arabic language classification in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. Then you have your Amharic language classification. And it's Afro-Asiatic, and it's official language of the African nation of Ethiopia. And that's the Ethiopian. The Amharic is another Semitic language in the language classification, Afro-Asiatic. Then you have Hebrew, which is a Canaanite language, and Semitic language classification, Afro-Asiatic language classification, Archaic Biblical Hebrew, Standard Biblical Hebrew, Late Biblical Hebrew, Israeli Hebrew, Dead Sea Scroll Hebrew, Mishnaic Hebrew, Ammonite, Moabite, and Edomite Hebrew, Biblical Hebrew, Tiberian Hebrew, Mizrahi Hebrew, Yemenite Hebrew, Sephardic Hebrew, Ashkenazi Hebrew, Mishnaic Hebrew, Medieval Hebrew, Haskale Hebrew, Modern Hebrew, Israeli Hebrew, Ancient Samaritan Hebrew, Samaritan Hebrew, and the Canaanite language is Phoenician, which is extinct, and Punic, which is also extinct. And that's your Hebrew, Canaanite language classification, in the Semitic language classification, in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. Then you have Tigrinya, which is another Semitic language in the language classification, Afro-Asiatic language classification. It's the official language of the African nation of Eritrea, and it's also the official language of the African nation of Ethiopia. And Tigrinya is a Semitic language in the language classification in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. Then you have Aramaic, is a Semitic language in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. You have Old Aramaic, Middle Aramaic, and Modern Aramaic. And that's the Aramaic language classification. classification, in the Semitic language classification, in the Afro-Asiatic language classification. Then you have your Nilo-Saharan language classification, Luo, Kanuri, Sanghay, Tiso, Nubian, Nubari, Kalenjin, which also is Nandi and Pokat. Then you have your Lango, your Dinka, your Acholi, your Maasai, your Gambe, your Nuo, your Fur, and your Tubu, which is Tsage and Tidage. And all those languages are Nilo-Saharan language in the language classification. Then you have your Niger, Congo language classification, A and B. And starting with the Kordofanian languages. Then you have your Mandi or Mendi, including Bambara, Soniki, and your Ajoy, which is Ajo and Defake, your Dogon, your Atlantic, including Wolof and Fule, your Crew, including BT and Yahweh and Dade, your Senufo and Sinari and Supiari. And then you have your Gur, which is Moor, then Adamawe, which is Chambe, your Banji languages, which is including the Sango, your Quay, which is your Akan. Then you have your Volta Niger, which is your West Benu Congo, and your Gibi language, which is your Iwi. Then you have your Yaruma and your Igbo, and also your Edo, your Nu, Adome, and your Tia. Then you have your East Benu Congo, which is the Bantu family. Language classification: Swahili, Fang, Congo, Zulu, Swazi, Biti, Bengali, Gaku, Gakuyu, Kambe, Kusi, Miru, Sukume, and Yamwisi, Gogo, Katube, Luwande, Mbudu, Congo, Yake, Ganda, Chiga, Inyankori, Soga, Heye, Luyi, Nandi, Rwandi, Rundi, Hay, Lube, Sangi, Tange, Inyakuse, Ingandi, Inyanje, Tambuke, Sine, Makua, Yao, Ingulu, Makandi, Imbulu, Hiriro, Shone, Inde. Then you have your Soto, which is Tiswane, your PD, South Soto, and North Soto. Tiswane, South Indibili, and North Indibili. For Losa, Tisange, Tiswe, Range, Chopa, and Binde. All those languages are in your Niger, Congo, A and B language classification. Then you have your Austronesian language classification, which is the Malagasy, Polynesia. And it's the official language of Madagascar, that as a nation, Madagascar. And there's some Malagasy, which is the Malayo-Polynesian language of the Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and there's some Austronesian language classification, and also your Khoi San language classification. Also, the Khoi and the San is two different groups. When you hear Khoi San, it's not one group. You have your Khoi, that's a group, and your San, that's a group. And many other Khoi and San are either extinct or moribund. And that's, the Khoi and San, those are your click consonant languages. And all the languages that I know are comprised of all these language classifications. And now when it comes to these language classifications, that don't mean there's not no controversy, because some languages may be classified as Afro-Asiatic or Niger-Congo or Nilo-Saharan, and then the linguists, they'll disagree about this one and disagree about another one, and so on and so on. But pretty much the majority of the languages, they pretty much got the classifications, like all your Afro-Asiatics, all your Nilo-Saharans, all the Niger-Congos, all your Khoi, San, and all the Austronesian. They pretty much got them classified where they belong. There may be some individual dialects or some kind of language that might be some controversy about. And like I said, we have to acknowledge and recognize all the people. When you say African traditional religion and West African traditional religion, you can't never negate the East African slave trade and the West African slave trade. When it comes to the West African slave trade, all the people brought to the Western Hemisphere from the African continent, and they were taken from mostly West African coastline and all those African nations and territories. And I said, we brought to the Western Hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere is North America, Mexico, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. And North America is Canada, the United States, Mexico, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. It said that according to the historical record in the West African slave trade, Senegal, Gambia, there were 4.8% of the people were sent to the Western Hemisphere. Papua Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, and Sierra Leone, 4.1% of the people were sent to the Western Hemisphere in the West African slave trade. The Windward Coast, Liberia, and Cote d'Ivoire, 1.8% of the people were sent to the Western Hemisphere in the West African slave trade. The Gold Coast, Ghana, and east of Cote d'Ivoire, 10.4% of the people were sent to the Western Hemisphere in the West African slave trade. The Bight of Benin, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria, west of the Niger Delta, 20.2% of the people was sent to the Western Hemisphere in the West African slave trade. The Bight of Biafra, Nigeria, east of the Niger Delta, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon. 14.6% of the people were sent to the Western Hemisphere in the West African slave trade. West Central Africa, the Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Angola. 39.4% of the people were sent to the Western Hemisphere in the West African slave trade. Southeastern Africa, Mozambique, and Madagascar. 4.7% of the people were sent to the Western Hemisphere in the West African slave trade. It says that when they talk about the ethnicities, like 45 distinct ethnicities been identified in the historical record in the West African slave trade. It said when you break it down to the top 10, out of all those distinct ethnic groups, there are 10 groups that they were the most prominent. And number 1, the Congo, or the Democratic Republic of Congo and Angola. Number 2, the Mandi of Upper Guinea, the GB speakers of Togo, Ghana, and Benin, Adja, Mina, Iwi, and Fan. Number 4, the Akan of Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Number 5, the Wolo of Senegal and the Gambia. Number 6, the Igbo of southeastern Nigeria. Number 7, the Mbundu of Angola, including both Mbundu and Obembundu. Number 8, the Yoruba of southwestern Nigeria. Number 9, the Chambe of Cameroon. And number 10, the Makawa of Mozambique. When we talk about the East African slave trade, don't never forget the island Zanzibar off the coast of Tanzania, the African nation of Tanzania. When we talk about the East African slave trade, who is Tipu Tip? Who is Tipu Tip? Tipu, T-I-P-P-U, Tip, T-I-P. Who is Tipu Tip? He was a slave trader in the East African slave trade. He owned over 10,000 slaves. What does the word Zanj refer to? Z-A-N-J. Z-A-N-J. It refers to the Bantu people in the East African slave trade. And when you see all these people of African ancestry in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, West Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, all over Asia, people of African ancestry, is due to the East African slave trade. Countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, countries like Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Palestine. You see people of African ancestry is due to the East African slave trade. Now I am aware of the Afro-Asiatic people, but we talking about Bantu. We talking about the Bantu. We're not talking about the Afro-Asiatic people, the Canaanites and the Aramaics, the Ethiopians and the Tigrinyas and the Berbers and the Egyptians and the Arabics, with dark skin, complected, and things of this nature. We're talking about the Bantu in the East African slave trade. see it here. Now, we're going to refer back to Dr. Joseph Umasadi Ewolelu, his essay, What is African Traditional Religion? We're going to refer back to his essay. Now, okay, on the where it says misleading terms, we're going to go over here to we're going to start right where it says juju. And number 4, juju. It said the word juju is French in origin, and it means a little doll or toy. Its application to African deities has been perpetuated by English writers. It said, for example, P.A. Talbot in his life in southern Nigeria devoted 3 chapters to juju among the Ibabio people and discussed the various divinities. Among the African divinities, however, minor be described as toys. Africans are not so low in intelligence as to be incapable of distinguishing between an emblem or symbol of worship and a doll or toy. Juju is therefore one of the misleading and derogatory terms used by investigators out of either sheer prejudice or ignorance. Number 5, paganism and heathenism. We choose to treat paganism and heathenism together because the meanings applied to them are similar, if not identical. The word pagan is from the Latin word paganus, meaning peasant, village, or country district. It is also means one who worships false gods, a heathen. But when the meaning is stretched further, it means one who is neither a Christian, a Jew, nor a Muslim. Heath, on the other hand, is a waste tract of land. Is a vast tract of land. And a heathen is one who inhabits a heath or possesses the characteristics of a heath dweller. A heathen, according to the New Webster Encyclopedia Dictionary, is a pagan, one who worships idols or does not acknowledge a true God, a rude, barbarous, and irreligious person. He said these words are not correct in describing the indigenous religion of Africa because the people are religious and they do not believe in a supreme being. And they do believe in the supreme being. Excuse me. If the only religious people are the adherents of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, then all the other world religions become either heathen or pagan, and so uncivilized. Presumably, these terms are used in an attempt to distinguish between enlightenment and barbarity. What has this to do with religion? We think such terms are more sociological than religious. Excuse me. Number six, animism. It's one that you pay attention to. This animism. I be hearing it too. I be hearing it. The great advocate of theory of animism was E. Tyler in his Primitive Culture. Many writers still describe the African traditional religion as animistic. This means attributing a living soul to inanimate objects and natural phenomena. From our own study of African traditional religion, we find there are unmistakably elements of animism. For example, the Iroko tree is not an ordinary tree. It is believed to be inhabited by a spirit. The Ocean River in western Nigeria is believed to be more than an ordinary river because the spirit, Ocean, dwells in it, and this makes the river efficacious in many respects, especially during barrenness, lightning, and thunder, a manifestation of the thunder god. But when we have said this, we also need to add that it would be wrong to categorize the whole religion as animism. Every religion has some belief in the existence of the spirit. Even Christianity sees God as spirit, and they that worship are to worship him in spirit and truth. In other words, animism is a part definition of every religion. But to say that the African traditional religion is animistic would not be correct. There's another word we got. Number seven, idolatry. Idol means false god, and so idolatry is the worshiping of false gods or that which is not real. The word idol is used to describe the object, which is an emblem of that which is worshipped by the Africans. The object may be a piece of wood or of iron or a stone. These objects are symbolic. Each of them has a meaning beyond itself, and therefore is not an end in itself. It is only a means to an end. If, for example, a piece of wood represents Opotali, a Naruba deity, is eaten by termites, the worshippers of Opotali would not feel that their god has been destroyed by the termites because the piece of wood is only a symbol, serving as a visible or concrete embodiment of that which is symbolized. Symbolic representation not peculiar to African tradition. It is found in most religions. It is used principally to aid man's perception and concentration and to remind the worshiper of the divine presence. If this is the object of the symbol, it must be wrong to describe it as an idol. But experience shows that material representation often becomes a danger in religion when the worshippers make the emblem an end in themselves. In this way, the difference between the material object and the real represented by it becomes obscure. African traditional religion is not essentially idolatrous, but it has a tendency to become so if the cult and the symbols of the divinity are so emphasized as to exclude the supreme being from various divinities that are represented are in fact technically representatives of servants of the supreme being. It needs to be emphasized that the supreme being cannot be represented like the divinity. We must also point out that to the Africans, the material has meaning only in terms of the spiritual. It is the spiritual that gives meaning and importance to the visible material object. The symbols or emblems may fall into disuse or crumble or be replaced with the spiritual entity. Represented never changes. Now, there are two more words. polytheism. In West Africa, said Peru, men believe in great pantheons of gods, which are as diverse as the gods of the Greeks or the Hindus. Many of these gods are the expression of forces of nature, which mean fear or try to propitiate. He said these gods generally have their own temples and priests, and their worshippers cannot justly be called animists, but polytheists, since they worship a variety of gods. Here, while Peru was trying to discourage the use of the term animism in connection with the religion of Africa, he created another problem by suggesting the term polytheism. We can understand what the problems are. In it, polytheism, the gods are all of the same rank and file. The difference between that type of polytheism and the structure of African traditional religion is that in Africa, the supreme being is not of the rank and file of the divinities. The origin of the divinities can be traced. The divinities can be represented. They are limited in their power. They came into being by the power of the supreme being, who is unique, wholly other, and faultless, and who owes his existence to no one. The Africans do not and cannot represent him in the form, the image, as they can do with the divinities. He says here that Pereira made this mistake because in his West African religion he claimed that the supreme God or creator is sometimes above the God, sometimes first among equals. This is not correct. The Garuga, for example, never ranked the supreme being Olodumare with the divinities or Risek. Neither do the Edo confuse Osanubue with the divinities Igbo. The truth of the matter is that Africans hold the supreme being as a venerable majesty who has several servants. The divinities honor him to carry out his desire. He is in a class by himself. This is why it is not appropriate to describe the religion as polytheism, modified monotheism. Can we find a precise term for this religion, which believes in the supreme being under which subordinate divinity serve as well? Present eminent African scholars like Professor E. Beloji Idowu and Professor John M. Beatty have emphasized the fact that the world of the Africans is a theocratic one, ruled and governed by the decree of the supreme being in order to administer the world. However, the deity has brought into being divinities who are his ministers or functionaries. Said these divinities act like intermediaries between men and God. The supreme being is given different names by different groups of people. When we examine the names, we gain a greater insight into the people's concept of God, as they are descriptive of his character and attributes. For example, among the Yaru, he is called Olodumare by meaning and connotate. This name signifies that the supreme being is unique, that his majesty is superlative, that he is unchanging and ever reliable. He is also called Omura, the owner of heaven, and Elide, the creator, by the same people. The Edo called him Sulubuwe, and this means God who is the source and sustainer of the world. The Igbo called him Chukwu, that is the great chief, or the great source of life and being. The Luke called him Soko, the great one, he who dwells in heaven, and they also designate him Tisosi, meaning the owner of us, the one to whom we belong. The Iwi speaking people speak of him as Nene Bunduku, ancient of days, and this suggests his eternity. In Ghana, he is called Onyame, the great and shining one, who is high and above all. In very precise language, says Professor M.B. the Bakongo describe the self-existence of God when they say that he is made by no other, no one beyond him is. We see then that the greatest emphasis on the supreme being, the ultimacy, where we go in Africa is according to God. This is why we are convinced that the religion is monotheistic, but the monotheism may need some modification. Hence, Professor Beloji Idowu has suggested the few monotheism because here we have a monotheism in which there exists other powers which derive from deity such being and authority that they can be treated for practical purposes, almost as ends in themselves. Said conclusion. In the conclusion, African traditional religion cannot easily be studied by non-Africans. The best interpreter of African religion is the African with a disciplined mind and the requisite technical tools. And we agree with Professor Idaho that the purpose of the study should be to discover what Africans actually know, actually believe, and actually think about deity in a supersensible world. There is a whole world of difference between this and what any investigator at home or from abroad prescribe through preconceived notions that Africans should know, believe, and think. It is also to find out how their beliefs have inspired their worldviews and molded cultures in general. Okay, we're going to refer to Dr. John S.M.B. African, his book, African Religions and Philosophy. We're on page 343. Page 343. The search for new values, identity, and security. 8. The religious claim. I'm going to read the first paragraph. It says, in our survey, we have shown that in their traditional life, African peoples are deeply religious. It is religion more than anything else which colors their understanding of the universe and their empirical participation in that universe. Making life a profoundly religious phenomenon to be is to be religious. In a religious universe, that is the philosophical understanding behind African myths, custom, tradition, beliefs, morals, actions, and social relationships. Up to a point in history, this traditional religious attitude maintained an almost absolute monopoly over African concepts in the spiritual life. Let me stop right there. researcher Dr. E. Balozi Adowu book, African Traditional Religion, a definition. In the chapter, we're going to turn to page 60, where we're in the chapter where it says a definition. On page 69, we're going to go all the way to page 75. Let's see. Okay, it says here. On page. Now the reason why I was looking because there page 73, you know, it goes from A, B, C, D, and then E. Page 75. That's the reason why I was looking at the page. So on page 75, it says religion results from man's spontaneous awareness of and spontaneous reaction to his immediate awareness of a living power, wholly other and infinitely greater than himself. A power mysterious because unseen yet a present and urgent reality seeking to bring man into communion with himself. This awareness includes that of something reaching out from the depths of man's being for close communion with and vital relationship to this power as a source of real life. Man thus realizes from the beginning that he has a dual nature. His commonplace life is here on earth, but there is a living being to whom he is linked by reason of his essential personality. In short, man is so constituted and conditioned that he must be dependent upon God. If his life is to be real, full, and harmonious, his life is really worthwhile only in accordance as it is controlled and sustained by God. Religion, in its essence, is the means by which God and spirit and man's essential self communicate. It is something resulting from a relationship with God, established from the beginning of human life between himself and man. And again, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live in the city of Memphis, which is in the state of Tennessee in the county Shelby. And again, I want to thank all my fans, my support for your continued encouragement and support. And until my next video, until next time, you take care of yourself. And I wish each and every one of you the very best.